How to appeal for your refused sponsorship or removal orders and residency obligations applications, which is refused by the visa officer of Canada. There are ways that can turn immigration officers' negative decisions on your application into positive. There is a body, the government body, which is called Immigration Appeal Division, is the place where you should file your application that was refused by the immigration officer. There are certain steps that have to be followed. Suppose you applied for your parents' permanent residence application. As a permanent resident of Canada or a citizen of Canada, you have right to appeal against a negative decision in the Immigration Appeal Division. You should apply yourself, instead pay so much fees to the lawyers. There are certain steps that has to be followed. Link is here. So filing an immigration appeal. The Immigration Appeal Division hears appeals on immigration related matters like sponsorship appeals. Another one is removal orders appeal, and third one is residency obligations appeal. Okay, what is sponsorship appeal? Like when permanent residents or citizens of Canada whose application to sponsor a close relative to immigrate to Canada has been refused by the IRCC, they may appeal the decision to the Immigration Appeal Division. But keep in mind, not all sponsorship applications can be appealed. Let me give you an example. In the case of a parental sponsorship, if the application was refused for misrepresentation, then no appeal may be made. A family sponsorship application may be rejected for various reasons, but for spousal sponsorship, the most common ground of refusal is that the relationship is determined not to be genuine. In this type of appeal, it is important to gather new evidences showing that the relationship is in fact real. Both the sponsor and the foreign spouse will be allowed to testify at the appeal hearing and can try to address the findings of the immigration officer who rejected their cases. Removal orders appeals. If the immigration authorities issues a removal order against a Canadian permanent resident, for example, for having committed a serious crime or for having committed misrepresentation, the affected person can file an appeal to be allowed to stay in Canada and maintain their permanent resident status. However, not all removal orders cases are allowed to appeal. Appeals cannot be made when the person is found inadmissible due to a conviction for a serious criminal offense, punished by imprisonment of 6 months or more in Canada, or involvement in organized crime, inadmissibility on security grounds, or violation of human and international rights. But foreign nationals who do not have a permanent residence visa cannot appeal a removal order to the Immigration Appeal Division because they are on temporary status. So those who has temporary status, they cannot appeal to the Immigration Appeal Division. But foreign nationals who have like a temporary status here, they can instead appeal to the Federal Court of Canada if they believe that the removal order was issued in mistake or in error. After an appeal hearing, the removal order appeal may be allowed by the Immigration Appeal Division and the person permitted to remain in Canada. Otherwise, the person is removed from Canada if the appeal is dismissed. Residency obligations appeals. This is very important and common here also. Suppose if a person came here as a permanent resident, okay, in Canada, but he must have to stay physically in Canada for 730 days, means 2 years out of every 5 years. This is obligatory for the person who got permanent residence in Canada. He has to stay here 730 days. It becomes 2 years out of every 5 years. If the permanent resident does not fulfill the residency requirement, he or she can lose their permanent resident status. In the case of a loss of permanent residency due to a failure to comply with the residency requirement, an appeal can be made to the Immigration Appeal Division. So in this case, Immigration Appeal Division can hear you, and if allowed, the permanent residents will be allowed to keep their status. If they allow you, if they are satisfied with your reasons, or you prove that you stayed here for 730 days or 2 years out of every 5 years, then they will allow you to keep your status alive. If the appeal is dismissed, then the permanent resident status will be lost and the Immigration Appeal Division will issue a removal order. So the Immigration Appeal Division will issue you a removal order, then you have to be removed from Canada. The decision of the Immigration Appeal Division may be appealed to the Federal Court of Canada for a judicial review, but still you have another chance to go to the Federal Court of Canada for a judicial review against Immigration Appeal Division's removal orders decisions. But bear in mind that appeals are only allowed if the decision is considered wrong in law or in fact, or on the basis of humanitarian and compassionate grounds, or when there was a breach of the principles of natural justice, such as the right to be heard by an impartial party. So guys, this was the 3 situations. Okay, the first one was sponsorship appeals, removal orders appeals, and the residency obligation, the third one. So in these cases you can go to Immigration Appeal Division. Okay, if you are rejected, then you can go to the Federal Court of Canada. I have tried to convince you all these conditions with examples. It may help you a lot. Okay, now we will find out how to make an immigration appeal and the broader appeal process. But there are certain situations which you have to apply. This is the source of information right here. Just type on Google, it will take to the page here. So you will get knowledge about this process. Suppose one situation is you sponsored a family member and their application for permanent residency was refused. In that case, the first step, you have to start a sponsorship appeal. As a Canadian citizen, as I earlier mentioned that, or as a permanent resident of Canada, okay, you should have to apply yourself and only you can apply for that. And you should sponsor your family member, your parents or your wife, brother, sister, and the application was turned down or refused by the immigration officer. So now next step, what to do? How to start an appeal. Okay, after getting the refusal letter, you have 30 days to apply at Immigration Appeal Division. To file a sponsorship appeal, you should submit a complete notice of appeal form and a copy of the IRCC's refusal letter. So what is the notice of appeal form? The notice of appeal is sponsorship appeal here. You can find the form here, just click. So this is the form here. You should have to fill up yourself. Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada, Immigration Appeal Division here. And notice of appeal, sponsorship appeal. Okay, if there was a problem of residency obligation, then it could be mentioned here. Okay, you must provide to the Immigration Appeal Division the notice of appeal and a copy of Immigration, Refugee and Citizenship Canada IRCC's refusal letter, as I mentioned that, which contains the written reasons for refusals. The Immigration Appeal Division Registry Office must receive these documents not later than 30 days. I already mentioned that. To be completed by the sponsor applicant. Applicant, who is the applicant? A Canadian citizen or a permanent resident of Canada. Put your family name here, your first and middle name here. This appeals the refusal of the sponsored application for permanent residence visas made by the following persons. Put your family name here and first name and middle name of the applicant. Relationship to me. Okay, what is his relationship to you? The date of birth. Check the appropriate box. I choose the language of my appeal to be in English. Okay, I need an interpreter and proceeding. Okay, you can check here. Contact information, you will fill up contact information, your apartment, city, province, postal code, cell phone number, email address here. This form is very simple, and this is for official use. Their office will use it. They will assign you ID file number here, and then they will contact you and they will set a time and day to take you to appeal division where your appeal will be heard. If you are hiring a representative, then you give their information here, their email, first name, last name, cell phone number, email addresses, and again this is for office use only. Put date here, applicant's signature. Okay, if you are a Canadian citizen, permanent residents who applied for their parents as a permanent resident of Canada and application was refused, so you are the appellant. So okay, you are appealing, so you put your signature here where you signed it the city where you signed it, like in Mississauga or in Toronto, and the date when you signed this application. So guys, it was a very simple application form for the family sponsorship refusal. Along with this application form, you have to attach a refusal letter which you have received from the visa officer. You will appear there, and then you have to prove that how your applicant should be given a permanent residence of Canada. That must be a solid paperwork. Okay, if you think that you could do that, go ahead. Otherwise, you could hire a lawyer to appeal on behalf of you. Step 2. Getting your application ready. Receiving the appeal record. In most cases, the Immigration and Appeal Division will request the appeal record from the minister. The appeal record contains all the information related to the decision made in your sponsorship application. You will find all information in that appeal record. Appeal record is very important. The minister must provide it to you and the Immigration Appeal Division within 120 days from the date requested. Request for information either before or after receiving the appeal record. The liaison officer of Immigration Appeal Division can contact you or your consul to obtain additional information regarding your appeal. Alternative Dispute Resolution (ADR). The Immigration Appeal Division may suggest that your appeal be scheduled for an alternative dispute resolution conference. It is suggested only for appropriate cases. ADR, Immigration Appeal Division, and your consul and the person from ADR, okay, they will sit together and they will try to resolve the problem, okay, in your application. If they reach on a positive decision, then you no need to appear in Immigration Appeal Division. If not, then proceeding will go further, and then you have to appear at Immigration Appeal Division. Important thing is that the Immigration Appeal Division can declare your appeal abandoned, meaning your appeal is finished. When it will be done like that? If you or your consul do not respond to a request for information regarding refusal letter or your application, and you don't answer them, okay, and they will mark your application abandoned. It means that your application no more. And if you do not show up at an ADR conference that you were requested to attend. Step 3. Preparing for your hearing. If your appeal cannot be resolved without a hearing, you will be invited to an oral hearing. Scheduling your hearing. If you have counsel, the Immigration Appeal Division will contact your consul to reschedule your hearing, and you will receive a notice to appear at least 4 weeks before the hearing date. The notice of appear tells you when and where your hearing will be done, okay. So you will get notice of appear, okay, at least 4 weeks before the date of hearing from the Immigration Appeal Division, which will tell you where and when you have to be appeared at the Immigration Appeal Division for your application hearing. Step 4. Receiving and acting on a decision. If your appeal is allowed, the decision to refuse the permanent residence visa application is overturned or cancelled, and Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada IRCC will resume processing the permanent residence visa applications. Your appeal is closed and the Immigration Appeal Division is no longer involved. If your appeal is dismissed, the decision by IRCC to refuse the permanent residence visa application remains the same. Appealing to the federal court, but still you have a chance. Either you or Minister's Council may apply to the Federal Court of Canada for leave or permissions for judicial review of any Immigration Appeal Division decision. The Federal Court of Canada will either dismiss the application or return the case to the Immigration Appeal Division for rehearing. This is the Immigration Appeal Division contact information here. Okay, this is the Immigration Appeal Division website here. So there are different situations they have mentioned here. Situation A. Sponsored a family member and their application for permanent residence was refused. I just mentioned this situation, so what to do and what are these steps, what is the form, I just mentioned that. So there is a situation B. I received a removal order from the Immigration Division after an admissibility hearing or during an examination by an immigration officer. This is the second situation. just click that. So the form is the same. Just fill up the form, and the letter which you have received from the visa immigration officer, you have to attach along with that application form, and the rest of the thing, processing, everything is same. C. I applied for a permanent residence travel document at an overseas visa office and the application was refused. Situation D is I received a decision from immigration division allowing me to stay in Canada, but I have found out that the minister has appealed that decision. Just go and click and check your situation and apply yourself. So I advise you guys, it looks very hard, but it's not actually. If you hire an immigration lawyer, they will charge you a huge amount for these simple steps, guys. So I think if your case is true and genuine and you have proofs, okay, genuine papers, so along with applications you can just attach those papers and just present them at the immigration appeal division. You may win the case, guys. So many people, they without lawyers go and win the cases and they save so much money. If you like this video, give a big thumb to this video and subscribe my channel.